We continue today with Jude. Yesterday we talked about verse 2. Today we're going to talk about verse 3, which gives us the occasion or the purpose for the writing of the letter. It says, "Beloved, while eagerly preparing to write to you about the salvation we share, I find it necessary to write an appeal to you to contend for the faith that was once for all entrusted to the saints." So again, reading the Bible, especially when you're reading letters in the New Testament, you want to read the first few verses carefully because they'll often tell you why they're being written. And you can hear Jude saying he was eagerly preparing to write a letter about the salvation we share, about the salvation in Christ that all Christians have in common. But he had to set aside the idea of writing that letter instead because it's necessary to write to appeal to them to contend for the faith that was entrusted to the saints, because there are some people who are messing it up. And sometimes it can be frustrating. Churches can have strife, they have conflict, they have difficulties. People in churches don't get along with each other. And it's important to remind ourselves these are not new situations. They were written about in the first century. People in the church always had trouble getting along with other people. That's why there's so much talk about love and mercy and grace and forgiveness. We actually need to do it. And divisiveness and division and people who thought more of themselves, just as we heard about that in 3 John. We hear about that again here in Jude. And so we have to contend for our faith. But as I said in my sermon on Sunday, we can contend for the faith without being contentious. We don't have to be difficult. We don't have to be mean. We don't have to be mean-spirited. We don't have to be nasty. We don't have to force other people to choose sides. We can contend for the faith with the means or the tools of the faith. Look back to the previous verse. Mercy, peace, and love. We can contend for the faith using these Christian virtues. But we also have to contend for the faith, not just within the church, but also outside the church, because the world is the competition of ideas to gain adherents. And so there are lots of messages out there in the world. If you think about a radio, you have a radio station, in your car, how many different channels you can seek and scan through. Every single one of them is trying to get your attention. They want you to listen to them. And there's very different music, there's very different talk, very different subjects. It's all on the same radio. And in a similar way, there's all these voices and philosophies and everything contending for your attention and for people's hearts and minds and time and resources. And you and I are to contend for the faith that was entrusted to the saints once and for all time.